All right, I will call tonight's Caldwell City Council meeting for March 16, 2026. It's 6:06 p.m. and I'm going to call to order and welcome those that are joining us here tonight. Thank you for those in the crowd, especially our city employees that are here. First on the agenda is an invocation which tonight will be offered by John Stone of the Caldwell Seventh-day Adventist Church. Please stand if you're able to join us in prayer, and we'll move to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor Phillips and City Council. Let us bow our heads. O God, creator of heaven and earth, we come to you this evening seeking your guidance. Bless this council and grant them the wisdom to discern what is right, the right course of action in each matter that will come before them. May their decisions balance justice with mercy as they serve the needs of our community with humility. May those who come before this council this evening have clarity in thought and purity of intentions as they present their concerns, and may the decorum of civility be expressed by everyone in attendance. May the outcomes be received with the understanding that the needs of all who call Caldwell home have been evaluated and the results are fair. We ask your Spirit to guide this meeting so that the decisions may honor you. May all that is done here contribute to the peace, prosperity, and well-being of our neighbors. In your holy name I pray, amen.
All right, thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is the roll call. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councillor Tillmont.
Here.
Councillor Static.
Here.
Councillor Register. Here. Councillor Williams.
Here.
Councillor Allgood.
Here.
Councillor Dittenberg.
Here.
All right, all council and the mayor are present. Thank you for that roll call. Next on the agenda is the conflict of interest declaration. Are there any members of the council who have a conflict of interest to declare relating to any item on the agenda tonight? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on. The next item on the agenda is a special presentation for the ELTAC, also known as the Local Highway Technical Assistance Council of Caldwell Road Scholars. Please come up.
Hi, my name is Lisa Popoff. I'm with ELTAC. Thank you for allowing me to be here today to present these awards to your staff for their outstanding achievements. Just a little bit about ELTAC and the programs before I give out the awards. So our mission at ELTAC is to advocate, support, and train all local highway jurisdictions. That's every highway district, city, and county with roadway authority in the state. So the programs that we have as part of our training, we offer classes that are held throughout the state, generally in the spring and the fall. The classes we offer cover a wide variety of topics, such as safety, professional development, and the largest portion being construction and maintenance activities. Most of these courses, the participants have to pass an exam requiring 80% to pass the class. So currently we have two levels to our program, the Road Scholar and the Road Master. Today I'm here to present awards to 3 of your staff for Road Scholar. That program includes approximately 80 hours of instruction, 7 core classes, including roadway materials, pavement maintenance and preservation, flagger certification, and 4 electives. Each student had 4 years to complete this level. So our second program is our Road Master, and that builds upon the Road Scholar. Again, that's 80 hours of instruction, 4 core classes, and 5 electives. So today, again, we are here to celebrate 3 Road Scholars. So if you guys could come up. We have Chris Harkey, Ryan Fleming, and Michael Browski. Sorry if I said that wrong. So you get a hat. A hat for you. And a hat. An engraved Leatherman. Thank you. And your certificates. So Michael. Ryan. And Chris, congratulations. And if I could bother you to get a picture, sure. That would be amazing, if you guys don't mind. I can take it if you want. Do you want me to? 2, 3, one more time.
We get a round of applause?
Congratulations.
All right, just in following the mayor and council, of course, we're very grateful for the excellent work done by our street department. I've had the recent opportunity to tour their facilities. They have a lot of equipment, a lot of folks, and a lot of great work they do, so we thank you for that. Next on the discussion for tonight is school capacity and development ordinance, and we're going to hear from a City of Middleton representative, I believe our newly sworn-in mayor, on how their ordinance works. So with that, welcome to the Caldwell City Council meeting. We look forward to hearing your comments. And with that, too, we offer our condolences.
Thank you, Mayor Phillips. I appreciate that. We instituted an ordinance a couple of years ago for school capacity, and it worked for Middleton. It was Ordinance 693 from Middleton, and it kept the developers in the county area from requesting annexation into the city and loading our school even further. For us, it worked because we had the added difficulty of having a wastewater treatment plant that was at capacity. So we had already stopped accepting any new developments, preliminary plats to our city because of our wastewater treatment plant. So this was requested by some of the council members to enact this an ordinance. And for Middleton, it worked for a couple of years. But we are currently looking at repealing that ordinance due to the fact that it basically stops the growth. Our wastewater treatment plant has acquired the funding that it needs to develop another 1,800 EDUs. So we're going to be opening up for development again. This basically stops your revenues that are coming in for infrastructure, which, as you guys well know, that's a real cost to us, especially since 689 went into effect. Your budgets are as limited as ours. So if you can partner with the county and make this ordinance work for you, then I'd say yes, move forward. But at this time, if you're just trying to move forward with your Caldwell School District, I would take a really hard look at it, gentlemen. I don't think it'll work for you. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer if I can.
All right, with that, any further? All right, Councilor Stoddard.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Did that include industrial and commercial development too?
It did.
It did.
Well, to a certain point, we did have a little bit of capacity left for commercial, but not for industrial.
Okay.
And so we were accepting applications for commercial, and our commercial did move along, but Middleton's still a bedroom community.
And relative to the schools, was that elementary, middle school, and high schools all included in the ordinance?
That is correct.
Okay.
Middleton's school district has since been able to fund a new school district thanks to donated land by Corey Barton, and then two different school bond, well, not really bonds, but school funds. One was the school modification fund, which gave the school district $8 million, and that's not enough to do anything with, so they set it aside until they could raise enough funds to actually do something. So then the legislation changed, and they were able to coup a cooperative facilities fund for another $11 million. And between the two, that
basically pays for 3/4 of a school. So we can add capacity of 400 students, but it doesn't pay for the complete school, so it'll be built in phases. And it's already got a building permit, so it's moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Stoddard. Councilor Allgood.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming. When this ordinance passed, just understanding the mechanics of it, did the school district say yes or no when a development came to council, or how did that work?
Yeah, the school district was actually in favor at that time. Unfortunately, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You're stopping growth for a little while, and that helps your school district. But your constituents out there will vote no on any school bonds because you stop growth. So magically, we don't need to put out any more tax money for schools. So it's kind of, I really can't recommend it.
And that leads, Mr. Is that all right? My second question is, did you guys see a change in your property tax up or down as a result of this?
Not really, no. It really didn't change that much. If anything, property tax went down because of the legislature, but not because of our initiative.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Just to clarify, Councilor Allgood, were you asking if the schools approved the development or if they approved of the ordinance itself?
Actually, kind of each development, if a developer were to approach, were the schools saying no, or did they just say?
It was pretty much, the school district was in favor of stopping growth entirely.
So development just didn't come in the door at that point?
Not residential, no. We still had 3,000 lots that were ready for development. So those houses continued to progress over the last 2 years, and they've brought our stash of lots down a little bit, but there's still quite a few lots that are undeveloped that had previous applications in. So you really didn't stop any growth. You just stopped new development from coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And just to clarify, it doesn't say no growth, correct?
It
Right, in
doesn't
your
say-
ordinance?
No,
It's based upon a percentage, right, of the school
Yeah,
district
of
capacity
what's-
in the area?
that is correct.
And how many school districts do you guys have in Middleton?
One,
Okay.
the Middleton School District encompasses an area from the Boise River to the Jim County line and from the interstate over to Star. And that's part of our problem, is you have two different cities that are building rapidly, and one has no hold on schools, so the other one is kind of limited.
So in your mind, if you had two school districts, right, and you're a city nearby, one is bursting at the seams, experiencing a lot of infrastructure challenges, and another that's regressing in population size and attendance, I mean, it could vary, right, on the effectiveness or not?
Yeah, exactly, and that is part of the problem. Plus, you're still building out in the county, so most of the Middleton School District is county.
And do you know your percentage of capacity right now?
Well, with the new school being built, we'll be back down to 100% of capacity in that school when the doors open. The other schools will actually drop in capacity, and then we'll be around the 80% mark in those schools, because they're going to redistrict the elementary schools to even out the load.
And just to further clarify on your code, so the way the code's set up, it's not necessarily, I mean, it's citywide, right? But you have variations between elementaries, middle, and high school. So if capacities were different, growth could
Yes,
move around, for lack of better words.
that was one of the things that the school district did immediately after this came about, was to redistrict the schools to get away from having 120% of capacity at one school and only 90% at another, so that our teacher-to-student ratios were a little more even.
Thank you for that. And, Counselor Tillmont.
Real quick, on Middleton School District, is there any other municipality that feeds into Middleton School District?
Into Middleton schools, yes. The county and the city of Star both feed into the school district.
If you were to say
as far as property taxes go.
Well, I mean, as far as students.
As far as students, there is a policy within the school district to allow students from across the river to come to Middleton or from other communities if there is capacity available.
Okay, but they're not slated to go into, they are not, so in other words, people from Star are not part of Middleton School District.
No, people from Star are part of Middleton School District at the Canada line. Star goes way beyond the Canada line
Right.
out to Kingsbury Road. So all of those people that are within Star's city limits are still
feeding into the
students of-
school.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? All right, with that, thank you for the information tonight. Obviously, we have a follow-up workshop here in the near future on the 25th, I believe, 5:30. And once again, we offer our condolences to your city
Thank you.
with the tragedy you recently went through.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
All right, sir, appreciate it, Mayor.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, sorry.
Mayor, just a question. Who's presenting to us at that workshop on Wednesday?
That's going to be staff
Okay.
on the 25th. Yes. Any other questions? All right, next on the presentation, the Caldwell City and Single Audit Report. Rochelle, who will be speaking for Eddie Bailey. Sorry.
Fine. Good evening, Mayor Phillips, City Council members. I'm Kelly Berge. I'm with Eide Bailey. I'll be going over the results of the audit. So I just want to first thank you for the opportunity to serve as your auditor. And I would also like to thank Raylyn and Rochelle and the finance team for the great job in preparing the financial statements and prepping for an efficient audit. Just a note that on March 4th, we did meet with the audit committee and discussed the audit results in detail. So I believe you have the report in front of you. On page 2 is our opinion, and we're happy to report that we had an unmodified, and that's a clean audit report. And at the bottom of that page is an emphasis of matter paragraph. This last year, the Government Accounting Standards Board issued a new statement. It's statement number 101, and it was over compensated absences, and it just provided for a little bit more of consistent recognition and measurement of absences like PTO, sick leave, those kinds of things. And then it's also highlighted in the financial statement notes under note 17. All right, on page 85, so at the back of your report, is our report on internal control, and we're happy to say that we have no internal control findings. And then our next report on page 87 is the compliance report, and this is over the audit of the federal major program, and the major program that we audited was the airport improvement grant, and we had no compliance findings on there. And that is all I had prepared. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions from council? Do you need a minute to go through it? Do we have anything else from staff?
All right, Rochelle is going to go
Okay,
over
Rochelle.
the financials. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me here tonight, and I am here to present and give a little bit more information about the financial statement. So I did provide a summary sheet, and I kind of want to focus on that a little bit more tonight. I will tie it back to the financial statement. But the page that I gave you in the front of the packet, it has a summary, and it breaks down the individual current activity for this previous year, as well as ties in the fund balance or cash that we had at the end of the year. So the first number that I want to talk about is the total fund balance as of 9/30/2025. You'll show that in the government funds listed there first, the second column, there's 79.3 million, and that ties back to page 21 of the financial statements. That's the government-wide profit and loss, basically. So it's that's the balance there. And as a whole, we did have a decrease in fund balance within the governmental funds of 2.7. Most of that was in the streets department. We had about 10.2 million in projects completed in this last fiscal year, 2025, in the street department, and 5.7 of fund balance was used to complete those projects. We also had some spending in fire capital impact fees and park impact fees. I'm sorry, the fire capital fund and the park impact fee fund. We did $4.5 million of projects to complete the pool and some other parks projects that we needed done last year, and did use about 532,000 of that in fund balance. Fire capital, we did about 1.6 million in equipment, apparatuses, and vehicles, and used about 415 of fund balance. So the very first column there is just our current year increase or decrease. If there's a negative there, that means we used a little bit of our fund balance. If it's a positive, that means we had revenues in excess of expenditures and actually added to our fund balance. The second column there is our fund balance as of 9/30 for each division and department. And then also our cash. And there are some slight variances to cash. I wanted to highlight that, but it is pretty close in nature. I did a little reconciliation off to the right to show you, usually the variance in cash is related to accrual accounting, which just means that we record the expense and the revenue when it's earned. So some of the balances are going to be higher or lower than the existing fund balance because we have money that we accrued, such as property tax, sales tax, etc., that we haven't yet received, but it was earned for the month of September. We just didn't get it until October. And so that's why you see a small variance in the cash. And if you see a negative cash balance, it's the opposite. It's that we had a lot of expenditures come in for projects and things like that, and those expenditures were for the month of September, but we didn't pay them until October. So the variances in cash are just related to a cash flow that happens with accrual accounting, but I wanted to provide that as a guide for you guys as well. On the enterprise funds, which are listed down below, we end the 9/30/2025 with a fund balance of 62.3 million and had a total of 5.5 million in increases in the enterprise funds. Enterprise funds are golf, water, sewer, sanitation, electrical, and irrigation. So those funds are doing relatively well, and we are doing a lot of projects in those funds. And we'll continue to do a lot of projects. We do have some big sewer projects and water projects coming up. Down at the very bottom, I give a highlight of the general fund. The very first number listed in your top left corner there is the current year increase in general fund of 369,000. General fund is mostly our public safety divisions, police, fire, as well as our building mapping and building safety divisions. And then we also have projects that we completed with our general fund funds and some investment revenue. So I break that down, that 369,000, so that you can see a little bit more detail within the general fund on what the current year increases or decreases were. And then I also do a little budget comparison as well. There were planned use, all of the decreases in fund balance this year were planned use of fund balance. We did have projects and things like that that we were trying to get done and did complete, and so that was not unplanned. And just to tie back to the financial statements, the 62.3 million is identified on page 24 of the financial statements. And with that, I stand for questions, if you have any.
Thank you for that. Council, any questions? Councilor Denver.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure I have a question. I got a big book here, and can we ask questions about anything in the book, or is there somebody else that's going to to kind of chat about the pages in the book.
We can review some of the pages in the book. As highlighted, page 21 is where I'm getting the number of the total fund balance. So page 21 is the governmental funds. That shows all revenues and expenditures received for the governmental funds within the year. The number in the bottom right corner of page 21 is the 79.3 million, so that's where we stand on our
I've
governmental
got all
funds.
those numbers, but I have a question about a statement that's made on page 11,
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can talk about that.
and it's specifically in relation to the fund balance. So I'm looking here at the statement in the, let me see, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph that says the unassigned fund balance is $24.2 million, which is represented in these numbers somewhere. And then it also says that the city should maintain 19.6 million of that in reserves. So did we have a fund balance that saved more money than we anticipated saving?
We did have a planned use of about 500,000 last year in the budget of fund balance. We ended up ending the year with a 360 or something increase. So the fund balance did go up a little bit. How we look at the fund balance is we have restricted fund balance, and so there's some restricted fund balances that we have for like the impact fee funds and whatnot. If you want to get a better look at fund balance, you can go to page 19. That also references the 7.9 million, and there at the bottom of the page it identifies fund balance. And so you have your general fund, your street fund, our debt service fund right now, which is for our fire bond, and then we have our other governmental funds, which is library, community development, and all the other special revenue funds, airport, parks and rec, and things like that. But the two major funds within the government funds are our general fund and our street fund. And so this breaks down the total. So the total in the general fund is 46 million, and that's the balance of the general fund as of 9/30. But within that, there are restrictions, and so we have 8.4 million currently assigned for projects. Most of that's within the impact fee funds. We also have 12.8 million. I'm sorry, the committed for capita outlay, 12.8 million. That is the fund balance that's restricted for most of the capital funds and impact fee funds. And so the actual unassigned is the 24. So out of the 46, we have 24 unassigned. But as that statement identifies in the analysis, we do retain 30% of current year general fund expenditures. That amount is withheld. And so right now, that amount, I think, is close to 13 or 14 million right now that we have for our reserves. We don't list that in the financial statements specifically because GASB doesn't, it's not something that they want to present. But out of the 24.2 here, there is restricted another 14. So the actual amount that we have as far as buffer or usage, I guess you could say, would be the difference between the 24 and the 14, which is right around 9-10 million.
So my question then boils down to, so we're saving, and we have a fund balance at an expected or a favorable rate to the city.
Yes, yes.
And so as we go into this next budget year, a couple of weeks, a couple of months down the road, we're going to be looking at a bunch of things, including the utilization or the potential utilization of fund balance. And so the comment in the auditor's report right under there is that fund balance should be used for one-time, if
Yes.
there's, for one-time purchases only. And the city still maintains that strict policy that fund balances are used for one-time purchases only.
Correct. It is general practice, best practice, and within our financial policy. So if there is planned use of fund balance, it's ideal that that's a one-time expenditure for capital, equipment, and machinery, because it's not a sustainable form of revenue. It's your savings, essentially. And so you cannot, you don't want to use that to hire, because that's an ongoing source of expenditure that will accumulate year after year, unless you let people go, which nobody wants to do. And software costs, obviously keeping the doors open, utilities, those are all operational costs. You need sustainable incoming revenue. You don't want to use prior year savings or excess A lot of the reason that we have excess in prior years is due to things that, are unforeseen inside the budget. And so we have cost savings because of turnaround, or maybe we didn't, get to purchasing a piece of equipment or finishing a project that we do still plan to do. It's just going to go into the next year and things like that. And so you have to be very careful when using fund balance, and what you do want to make sure it is one-time use. It's not any kind of ongoing operational expense.
Okay, thank you. The next comment is on page, the question I have is about page 14. And I'm going to look at the very last sentence on the second paragraph. No, very last sentence, third paragraph, my apologies. Very last sentence, and this question is in relation to some information that we have about where we might be in our current budget, where we might be as far as, tightening the belt as we end the year. And that last statement says the demand for commercial building permits is expected to stay the same in 2026. Where do we make that conclusion? Who makes that conclusion that residential building permits will stay the same?
So we look at trends. We've been tracking and recording the number of permits and types of permits that are issued every year. We get reporting from the softwares that we use in order to get that data. And we do kind of a trending analysis, but we also take into account several other factors within economy. Raylene and I attend economic meetings held by banks and people who are well-known in the investment industry, banking industry, and economists who are speaking about where we're going, what direction we're going, as well as keeping up with the legislature and state policy, and if that's going to affect us in any way, shape, or form, and what they're trending to see and things like that. And so it's kind of like a collaborative discussion that we have between taking the data that we do have from our softwares, as well as collaborating with and networking with the people that we do have. We have financial advisors that we reach out to anytime we have questions and want some economic advice in regards to that. And we also have our community members in other states and other cities that we reach out to as well to say, what are you seeing trending here, and how does that work? And so that's kind of where we come up with our projection for the next year. Of course, it is just a projection, but we do think things are going to level off when it comes to going into this next budget season. Last several years, we've been seeing huge increases in, going over budget in projected revenue for building permits and things like that. So our numbers have been exceeding what we've been projecting for the past several years. I don't think that that's going to continue in the next year or so. I think we're going to see, at minimum, a leveling off. And those significant inclines and excesses that we've been seeing in the past are not going to happen moving forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor Dittenberg. Councilor Allgood.
Yeah, not a question. I just told Rochelle I'm on the audit committee. I told her I'd bring this up. For many, many years, we had to help the golf courses with finances. They were in the red every single year due to good management by our golfing staff and our finance department. Not only are we very much in the black, but we have $423,000 in fund balance on top of that, which we hadn't seen in many, many years. And so thank you to the golf people. That is a huge turnaround. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I would also say congratulations. That is a good turnaround. Thank you for those that participated in that. And thank you, Councilor Allgood. Councilor Stoddard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the golf committee too, because I remember way back when I was on that, and we were shelling out almost $250,000 a year, and that had to come to an end. So anyway, Rochelle, I was just wondering, are there any unspent ARPA funds?
We do have about $1 million left in ARPA funds. That's one thing I did want to also talk about. We spent about $3 million this year in federal funding on our CFO report. The larger ones was ARPA funding. I think last year we spent about $1 million, a little over $1 million in ARPA funding, and then we had the airport projects, which kind of go up and down. And when we see a construction hit for those projects, we usually have high years in that. But we have about $1 million left, so that does have to be spent by the end of this calendar year, so December 31st, 2026, and I think that that's not going to be a problem. Like, there's some big, I think it's mostly fire and police training facility that we're going to be using that funding on, as well as a large piece of equipment for police. It's some big SWAT unit that they're buying, and that's pretty much going to take up the funds. And I think those are on order. It's just a matter of getting them here, so.
So after this year, they'll be spent then? Can
Yep.
we assume that?
They will be 100% spent
Okay,
after
thank you.
that.
All right, any other questions from council? All right, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for the work on the report. That's, those that don't know, this is a thick report council and staff have reviewed, and you can always reach out if you have any questions on that. All right, next on the agenda is audience participation. The section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council regarding city-related issues that are not on the agenda. Persons wishing to speak will have 3 minutes, and we have a clock here. And right here, comments related to pending public hearings, including decisions may be appealed to city council, are out of order and should be held for public hearing. Repeated comments regarding the same or similar topics previously addressed are out of order and will not be allowed. Comments regarding performance by city employees are inappropriate at this time and should be directed to the mayor either by subsequent appointment or after tonight's meeting. You can also reach out to our city attorney if time permits. In order to ensure adequate public notice, Idaho law provides any item other than emergencies requiring council action must be placed on the agenda upcoming council meeting. As such, city council can't take action on the items raised during citizen issues at the same time at the meeting, but may request additional information or the item be placed on a future agenda. With that, we're going to start with Mr. Travis Manning, the chair of the Caldwell School District. And thank you, Chairman Manning.
Thank you, Mayor Phillips, for allowing me to speak for a couple minutes. Mayor, members of the council. Just wanted to stand for a couple minutes, and as I've been reflecting the last few months with various issues and things, and thinking about the relationship that we have, that the Caldwell School Board has. I'm the chair of the Caldwell School Board. And I'm just grateful for the relationship, the long-standing relationship that the Caldwell School District has with the city of Caldwell. And there are numerous ways, and I probably should have compiled the list, but I didn't. I'm just going to kind of riff here off my head, but I just am grateful for the relationship that we have. And we had, 3 students hit by cars here in the last couple months in December and January. And the city responded rapidly and worked with the district to help try and troubleshoot and problem solve. And we're in the process of working out some things there, potentially getting a hawk light system put in at the high school. And we have a safety summit coming up here in a couple weeks that the city is sponsoring and utilizing their community partnerships and including us, and we just are very appreciative of everything that we do together, whether it's collaborating with SROs that we have, other police issues. I'm thinking about planning and zoning. They're very thoughtful in getting our feedback from our district about population growth, density growth, neighborhoods, walkways and pathways. I'm thinking the Caldwell Library does a great job working with our schools, either having kids come to the library or going to schools themselves and working inside the schools. There's just a lot, and so whatever we can do to, as a city, to help our families as well. I guess I would sort of close there. We have a lot of families that struggle, and so housing is important, and having jobs is important as well. I guess finally I would say this, that just for clarification, the Caldwell School District is the growth of our population has been stagnant and even declining slightly due to a number of different reasons. Idaho is a state of school choice, and so in Idaho we have charters and magnet schools, we have private schools, online schools. We have students who go to other school districts with open enrollment as space allows, and so all of that to say that we did have to close a school a couple of years ago, but we appreciate the city of Caldwell and the citizens for stepping up and supporting us in numerous ways. And there are many things I could talk about, but I just wanted to say thank you, and I just look forward to the continuing relationship that we have had, that we have now, and so thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. With that, council, any questions? Just want to reflect on, we are having a school safety summit with, we've invited the school districts in the city of Caldwell. Your board is welcome to come if you didn't get that invitation already, your entire board, since you have another board member in here. So we appreciate you guys participating in that. We also, just for an update real quick, we do have that Hawk light is progressing. We're just, I believe, waiting on electricity, so hopefully that does come to fruition soon. We also heard tonight the ELTAC sidewalk project that'll be going by Syringa along Montana. That's been talked about for some time, so there's some good things coming, and we do appreciate the relationship between our two entities. So thank you for coming and talking about that tonight.
Yeah,
we really
thank you. And
appreciate it.
I think you guys, there's going to be an intersection or a stoplight at the corner of Indiana and Linden.
Yes,
right?
that would be correct. Is that correct, Bruce? Yes.
So I think that'll be great, because that will help us to sort of regulate traffic flow, because otherwise during busy traffic times, there's just heavy traffic and it's hard for kids to cross and things like that. And so that'll help to regulate the flow, I think, and that with many other things. But appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Manning. Appreciate that. Just real quick, no one else? All right, thank you. Mr. Sean Harmon.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman, Councilwoman. I appreciate you guys letting me talk for a minute. My name is Sean Harmon. I serve as the chair on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I want to start by saying this. Serving on Planning and Zoning is something I take seriously. Like every member of our commission, I volunteer my time because I care about the community and the future of Caldwell. However, I'm here tonight because of comments that were recently posted on the City of Caldwell's official social media page that referenced members of our board and specifically named me. In those comments, an individual stated that he would strangle people on those boards, and another comment referenced being charged with murder in connection with people serving on those boards. The same individual also stated that I need to be gone and that I am no good for Caldwell. Let me be very clear on this. Disagreement with decision made by Planning and Zoning is completely fair. People have every right to disagree with our recommendations, criticize our votes, and challenge city policy. That is part of living in a democratic community, and those of us who volunteer in public service understand that. But threatening violence towards citizens who volunteer their time to serve their city across various lines. Members of Planning and Zoning are not paid politicians. We are residents of the community who give up our evenings, our family's time, and many hours viewing staff reports, ordinances, and public testimony to help Caldwell grow responsibly. We do that work in public meetings, transparently, and under the authority and the ordinances of comprehensive plan adopted by the council. When someone publicly states that they would strangle people on those boards or suggest that it could lead to being charged with murder, that is not criticism anymore. That is threatening language directed at a citizen serving their community. And when those kinds of statements occur publicly, especially on platforms connected to the city of Caldwell, they should be immediately, clearly condemned by the leadership of this city. What is deeply concerning is that this rhetoric remained publicly visible without a clear condemnation from the leadership. Silence in situations like this sends the wrong message. It suggests that threatening language directed towards volunteer serving and community may simply be tolerated as part of conversation. That should never be the standard of Caldwell. This is not about protecting my feelings. I can handle criticism. What this is about is protecting the environment for civic service in our community. If people who volunteer on boards and commissions are subjected to threats of violence without public condemnation from the city leadership, it will discourage good people from stepping forward to serve this city. Our community deserves better than that. I will continue to serve Caldwell and carry out my responsibilities on planning and zoning with fairness and professionalism, but threats of violence towards citizens serving this community should never be met with silence. I respectfully ask the mayor and this council tonight to make it clear that threats against members of a city board and commission will not be tolerated in the city of Caldwell. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And just to confirm, so those comments that were made, we do not tolerate those on our page. We did take those down immediately. You're correct. That is not appropriate forum anywhere to be stating those statements. And we're made clear in the future, right, if that were to occur again, the same route would be followed. Additionally, we have been preparing a statement, right, because that was Friday. So here's Monday. We'll work with law enforcement prior to that. There was an investigation that took place.
The investigation took 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah,
So now we're
ridiculous.
preparing the statement, right?
Absolutely, absolutely unacceptable.
You'd
And
have
let me
to-
tell you, and I will say one thing, I'm gonna respond to you, Mayor. You did tell me you would personally make a public statement condemning this. And I got a blanket statement from the city of Caldwell. It's
To
unacceptable.
correct the record, you asked me, right, if I would make a statement, you said that would be really nice. We are working on that. When you put public statements out, you have to make sure that things have played their course.
Mayor, you put public statements every day on social media.
Yes, I
And you never
do.
think twice about it.
Yeah, but this is more serious, so we
Thank
are
you.
preparing
I
that. Thank
appreciate
you,
it. I would-
Commissioner
I would-
Harmon.
I would like to know that you guys
Thank
condemn
you.
that.
I agree with you. That is not acceptable anywhere on our public forums. Thank you. All right, Ms. Lori Harmon. All right, Mr. Brad Doty.
Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Harmon summed it up pretty good. I don't need to add to this.
Can you step up real quick, please? Just because some people can't hear you in the back.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I think Mr. Harmon summed it up pretty good. And I know you don't want to hear repeated comments, but certainly adding, murdering our board members is absolutely unacceptable. We expect more out of our leadership to say it. He's your friend, which is probably why you don't want to make a public comment and why Mr. Harmon is very passionate about this situation.
Okay. Thank you.
I thought I have 3 minutes. I don't have
Yes,
3
but-
minutes. I thought you asked me to come
Continue.
forward. Continue?
Yes,
Yeah,
continue.
he's
Just
sitting
watch your
right here.
comments, okay?
He's sitting
If you're-
right
If you're
here,
going to
so-
argue.
So
okay.
why don't you tell him that it's
We are
unacceptable?
preparing a statement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There's a mayor comment section. This is for public comment. Thank you. All right, Raylyn Campbell. Is there a Raylyn out there? Sorry, Rayanne. Rayanne, that would be the correct way to say it. All right, Corey Turner.
I think it'd be the same thing that I say. There's been threats against me as well.
All right, Tim, it starts with an M, the last name, and it was listed in an AMPA address. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Tim Makwa, 802 North Acer Lane. I don't really have much to go over. I just wanted to procedurally see how this school district potential moratorium is going to work, and respectfully request that you mentioned the workshop on the 25th, that information be provided to citizens and stakeholders in the community who are invested heavily here, and that we have an opportunity to review that information and provide input prior to any item being placed on an agenda for council action. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And just so you know, that will be happening. We are noticing it publicly, I believe, because it's going to have to go to a P&Z meeting first before it comes to council. And during the workshop, we will have the information present for those to review.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Carl. Is it Norton? Sorry, Anderson. Sorry, some people scribble it on there. Yeah, it's all good. I apologize, Carl Anderson.
No, you're good. Carl Anderson, 505 South 7th Caldwell. I just wanted to follow up on Travis Manning's comment about Caldwell School District and it losing students and the economics of the school district losing students where they need to have students added into that equation, where they're at the opposite end of what Valley View is. And I hope that those equations are taken into consideration when talking about ordinances for schools being overcrowded. With that, Mr. Mayor, I would stand for questions.
Any questions from council? All right, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Swift, Boda. See here. Hello, sir.
We had to talk about the cheap ceiling. About 2 years ago, the city came in chip seal our streets. I live on between Indiana and Florida, south of Carter. And we invited a member of the city, the road person, to come out, and he admitted that the job that was done was poorly done. A lot of the corner streets don't have any chips on it, and there's a large number of little rocks. From what I understand is that the wrong size of the rocks was applied, and then we were kind of expecting to have a slurry on the top, and we recognize that in the area we do that chip sealing and stuff, but our garages and our driveways and our homes are full with those chips that get caught up and stuff. So I believe that in the previous meetings we were promised that this year that would be addressed, and then I would like for that to happen for our neighborhood.
Thank you for that, sir, and you're right, it has been discussed in the past. Councilor Static.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have Mr. Mills in the audience. We have a plan for this year to prevent that from happening.
This is our Transportation Director, Bruce Mills. If you please come forward.
Yes, thank you. And I'm the one that met with the citizens out there. So 2 things going on. This is a sample of the new chips that we use now. We have one being awarded tonight. So it's not round, they're angular, they're clean. Number 2, we are going to fog coat your streets this July. After we chip seal the 2026 streets, we will then fog coat all the residential streets that we're doing here in 26 and go back and do the ones that were in 24 that's in your area, but that'll be in July.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joe, you're ahead of the HOA, aren't you, over there?
Yes. Yeah.
Would you make sure that information gets to the rest of the people then?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is Phaedra here? Please come forward.
Hello, Phaedra Boda from 15303 Roca Avenue in Caldwell. And Joseph is my husband, so it's along the same lines, just a couple additional things that may not have been mentioned, at least tonight. One of the concerns, he mentioned the little rocks being in our garages, et cetera, which is true, but when the children are out in the roads and playing, if they happen to fall in those roads, it's much harsher than the previous roads before we got the chip that never got sealed. So I'm enheartened that we are going to get service this year because the first year I had called multiple times to ask about the job being completed. Number one, like my husband said, there were areas that were not chipped, and they're basically at intersections where there's diamonds that were left that were still the old pattern, which would have been fine if it hadn't been done at all. But now it's uneven, and there's places that are marred. And when I called into the number that was on the notification that came to the community, I was told that, well, the job wasn't done. They'd be back out to do the sealing. And so we go get to the end of summer, and it still hadn't been done. I called in again and was told that, oh, well, don't worry about it. You know, just they had so many things to do, and they have to get it. It's on the schedule to eventually get done. They will come back to your community to do it. That was 2 years ago. Last year, I called again. I said, are we going to get the sealing done to help keep some of those rocks from being a problem? And they continued to tell me yes, and it has never yet been done. So I am hoping that maybe you have a different provider this time, or all the details will be ironed out better than we experienced in our paths thus far. And that's about it. I just wanted to thank you for your service, but also we kind of are watching, and it is nice to actually be able to get a truthful answer, because I don't, at this point, 2 years down the road, I don't know if I was given the truth, you know, that they'll be back, but it might now be that they'll be back in a different form or with different service providers. So my comments, thank you.
Thank you for that. And Mr. Mills, can you please reach out to them and follow up with that, and let's get a date, if able. All right. Is there a Joanne? Looks like low. All right, no. Carlos Hernandez.
Well, good evening, everyone. Let me know if I can talk about this or not. But my name is Carlos Hernandez, 3906 Bryan Avenue, and I'm actually running for Idaho State District 11A here in Caldwell. And I believe in this community deeply, and that's exactly why I am here tonight, to respectfully urge the council to pause before adopting a school capacity moratorium like the one that Middleton passed. I understand the frustration. Our schools are stretched. Growth has been fast, and the instinct to pump the brakes is understandable. But let's be honest about what this ordinance actually does and what it doesn't. It doesn't solve the school undercrowding problem that was previously talked about. Middleton's own city planner acknowledged that because of lots already in the approval pipeline, residents there won't feel any relief for 7 to 10 years. Caldwell is in a similar position. We have hundreds of lots already approved and building permit eligible. A moratorium today is a promise that delivers nothing for a decade. Who knows if we're even going to be here? It shifts our decision-making power to others and not to the city. Under this kind of ordinance, Caldwell's growth and its economic future becomes contingent on whether a school bond passes. That means Canyon County voters, school district boundaries, and potentially a future school superintendent holds the key to our city's planning authority. That's not accountable governance. That is an abdication of it. It will cost us economically. Caldwell has infrastructure obligations, roads, sewers, capacity, and public safety that depends on a growing tax base. When Middleton stopped growing, their city planner warned that a $50 to $80 million sewer plant would fall on a smaller and smaller pool of ratepayers. We don't want that here for our residents. And here's what really concerns me. If Caldwell stops approving residential development, that growth doesn't disappear. It moves to unincorporated Canyon County, where there are fewer infrastructure standards, no city water or sewer hookups, and, as Middleton's own chief testified, no guaranteed fire suppression water supply. We don't export the problem. We just export our ability to manage it. The real solution is what it's always been, passing a school bond and ensuring that the state meets its constitutional obligations to fund public education. But capping Caldwell's future with a moratorium isn't fiscally responsible, it's a fiscal risk. It's trading a long-term problem for a short-term headline. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hernandez. Any questions from council? All right, David Ferdinand, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. David Ferdinand, 2419 West Heron Loop in Nampa. We got the word that we may have it a little different than it actually is. We were talking as a group of the Canyon County Regional Realtors at our meeting, and we heard that there was going to be a moratorium put forth for growth in the Caldwell area. And it sounds to me like it has to do with schools, but if we're looking forward to giving any input that we can, if you have an ordinance or any type of well, any kind of ordinance that you would like input on for Canyon County Regional Realtors. Believe it or not, we have over 1,000 licensed realtors in Canyon County right now. Pretty amazing number, and we're here to help if you have any information that you'd like to get from this group. And that's my comment.
Thank you for that. Any questions from council? And we will reach out. I'll have our staff reach out, and we'll circulate the draft policy. So we do appreciate that. And just to be clear, it's not a moratorium. It's not listed as such in the code, but we'll follow up with that later. Thank you. And Mr. Bob Jenkins.
Good evening, and thanks for giving me a minute or two, but Mayor and City Council, about a week and a half ago, I received an email from your city clerk asking me to verify on that petition that we passed for the quiet zone. I did go through it, and for the most part, I think all of them are business owners, property owners, and residents of Caldwell. But that got me thinking that, you know, I received the Freedom of Information Act with all the comments that were sent into the city. So I took a few minutes and put in a spreadsheet, because I believe at that night you said there was 200 and some in the opposition and 50 some in the affirmative or favoring it. I went back through this list and eliminated all the duplicate emails, eliminated all the random, and what we've come up with right now in favor of this project, we're at 274. That's a few more that were delivered. But I also went through and versus 133. So in the negative. So I know on Facebook and everything you're seeing, oh, we're the majority, and that's not correct. And how you came up that night with the 200 and some figure and a 50 some figure when it was 133, and in favor of it on that same, the people that wrote into that, there was only 19. And out of the 19, I did go through, and there was 13 of them that were, now let me look at my notes here, 13 of them that were on our list already. So that's why the number jumped up to 274. But I'd like to make sure that that's clarified and that it is on the record. And I would hope that, you know, the Facebook crowd would stop saying that they are the majority, because in 2 weeks' time, we were able to go out and get 274 people that are for this. And you continue to post things, and I can post just as many if I was on a social media crowd, that the life-saving of having those medians in and the cars not being able to jump over those medians are just as good. So, and actually would probably increase and save more lives. So anyway, just trying to correct the record.
Just to clarify, if we're going to correct the record, right? I received an email that evening from our city clerk, right? If you look through your FOIA, that would give where I got those numbers from. So what I was provided at the time, right? And sure, there may be clarification, but that's what I was given that evening. That's why I mentioned it, because I got an email that evening from my clerk.
Well, I'd just like to clarify that these are the numbers that I've received, and you might want to have your clerk, I sent her the
Yes.
spreadsheets that I did, and she's now posted it up, so you don't have to do a Freedom of Information. It's all up on your website now, and so I just want to make that clarification.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Any questions?
Questions from council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, will
Yes,
that be
Councilor
corrected on the city account then? That information?
Yes, we can post that. And there is a variety of sources out there too. There's polls that were taken, which were like 600 something to a double digit. I mean, it just depends on where you look at, but we can
Not
post.
everybody does Facebook. I know you're a big fan, but, you know, the people that we went out to, we walked door to door and got these. And probably, I can say, the majority of businesses in downtown Caldwell signed off on this.
I understand
So not
that.
everybody does Facebook.
But there's a lot of people that do. So we will post. Thank you for updating the numbers, and we'll post that. All right, thanks for the audience participation, for those that participated tonight. Next on the agenda, does anyone need to take a recess? Councilor Tillmont? No. Recess, okay. All right, next on the agenda is the consent calendar. These are routine items that are grouped together to be approved in one motion unless the councilor moves for one or more items to be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. First, are there any motions to amend the consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor. I move to amend the agenda to move consent item 10 to new business for further discussion.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
That's my job.
Do you have a second? Removing item 10?
Nobody?
Second.
All right. Motion and second has been moved to amend the consent calendar by removing item 10, which will be considered new business. We'll now have a roll call vote, and councilors can cast their votes on that motion. Madam Clerk. Correction, electronic voting. All right, it's unanimous. I will now entertain a motion that is approved, by the way. I would now entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended.
Councilor Register, thank you for that. Do we have a second on that consent calendar?
Second.
All right, motion is second. All right, councilor moving to second on that consent calendar, and let's go ahead and vote electronically. All right, that motion passes. Next up for consideration is old business, discussing a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a bid for installation of security features at railroad crossings. Real quick, does any Deputy Director Bruce Mills, do you have any additional information you'd like to present to us tonight?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Tillmont.
thank you for recognizing me. Pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2044C, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to make old business item number 1 an action item to discuss the approval or denial of the construction bid for the railroad intersection improvements and the implementation of the Quiet Zone Agreement with Union Pacific Railroad, and to have the final action be taken at the soonest possible meeting, being either the town hall on March 25th or the city council meeting on April 6th. My good faith reason for this motion is that I requested that an actionable item be placed on the agenda and it was omitted.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion on that motion? And just so people sorry, legal, do you want to go ahead? Under Caldwell City Code, City Council does have the authority during a meeting to call for and place an agenda, if so approved, on the next regular meeting agenda. With that, I'm going to go ahead and, before we take a vote, I'm going to read a prepared statement. Council, obviously, Councilor Tillmont, you had requested that to be on the agenda, and I listed a discussion item. As mayor, I currently set the agenda prior to meeting. I exercise that authority intentionally, making this decision, or this is a discussion item tonight. Not long ago, when I was speaking with residents regularly, I will tell you, on one of the most consistent concerns I heard from the public was about how decisions were being made at City Hall. People felt projects were rushed. The project expenditures were sometimes approved without fully evaluating the total scope, the long-term costs, or the unintended consequences. Council and the public both raised those concerns during that time, and I certainly did too. To be clear, the Quiet Zone is not a project that originated with my administration. The bids were initiated by my predecessor before leaving office. The decision was made, and now we're dealing with the process that was left behind. I recognize there's a bid that technically needs to be addressed. However, much like other projects the city has dealt with over the years, more information keeps surfacing the deeper we look into it. Additional costs have appeared, operational questions arise, and total picture becomes far more complicated than was originally presented. The project is a good example of that. At one point, the Quiet Zone concept carried a project cost of a range of $4 million. Now we're looking at a much smaller version, roughly in the $200,000 range. Weeks ago, I sent a simple request to you guys as council. If the council is going to force a Quiet Zone, at least it should be done properly. specifically asked for pedestrian crossing protections be included in the system so it truly addresses safety at those rail crossings. We recently had a public member that talked about we've been trained to get used to train horns. We're now going to change that. At this point, there's been no guarantee that those pedestrian protections are included in the current bid structure. I took the time to personally walk every intersection affected by the proposal here in Caldwell. I've driven those crossings countless times over the years. I spent 15 and a half years working for the city, much of that time downtown. As a former officer and lifelong resident, I know those train tracks crossings well, but I still went back and walked them out and walked them again, and I filmed them, I photographed them, and I looked closely at how pedestrians actually move through those areas. My conclusion is straightforward. We are currently considering it as a partial solution, not a complete one. I do not believe that it serves the public well to install a quiet zone without properly addressing pedestrian safety at those crossings. And I also want to be clear at something else. I'm not eager to spend $200,000 to $300,000, which was once mentioned at the per intersection cost. I believe that we do have that down to $2,000 or $3,000 if approved. But if the council ultimately decides this project should move forward, it should be built correctly the first time rather than installed halfway and revisited later at greater cost. I'm going to continue. Beyond those design questions, there's another reality we cannot ignore. It's the city's financial situation. As council knows, we are currently projecting a $1.2 million revenue shortfall, and that's a serious number. At the same time, additional costs continue to appear for the rail infrastructure and other related costs. For example, the right-of-way lease on Stock Trail Crossing alone is now projected at $55,000 per year. Now, we are looking at potentially shrinking that down to approximately $30,000 a year. When combined with other right-of-way agreements related to the rail corridor, we are approaching $75,000 annually. Over 10 years, that approaches $750,000. Over 20 years, that climbs to up to $1.4 million. Those are long-term commitments. Meanwhile, at the city, we have many additional needs that are immediate, and we're competing for limited funds. We have pedestrian safety improvements that must be addressed. We have equipment, safety for the police department, fire, and others, protective infrastructure within their departments that we're needing to look at. We have deteriorating sidewalks, including some directly in front of City Hall. Parks, streets, and public facilities all have maintenance needs. Several departments are already tightening expenditures as we work through the coming budget cycle. Given that reality, I believe it would be irresponsible to rush into a new capital expenditure, especially one that is not fully defined and continues to evolve. That is why I listed this item for discussion. My goal was to have an honest conversation with the council about two possible paths. One is step back, rebid the project, determine the full cost of a complete and safe quiet zone, including pedestrian protections, and then decide whether to fund it when the city is a stronger financial position. The second is to reutilize the funds for much needed items throughout the city, like safety, staff safety, budgets, and so on. Either way, discussion needs to happen in an open and with full fiscal picture on the table. There is no train horn emergency requiring immediate action. What we do have is a city budget under pressure and a long list of safety and infrastructure priorities competing for the same dollars. Council retains the authority, of course, and you're using that tonight, to move the item forward if it so chooses. If the council believes action should occur immediately, members can make that decision, and we can schedule that meeting, which was mentioned in the workshop. But my responsibility as mayor is to ensure that decisions of this magnitude are approached carefully, transparently, and with a clear understanding of their financial impact. The public is paying attention. They will soon hear more about the budget challenges we are facing. For that reason, it is important we demonstrate disciplined stewardship of taxpayer dollars. If Caldwell ultimately builds the quiet zone, it should be safe, complete, and financially responsible. Until are we confident that conditions are met, the responsible step is to slow down, evaluate the full picture, make a decision with clarity rather than urgency. With that, unless there's any additional comment, we can move to the vote. All right, sorry, go ahead, Councilor.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what you just said, and my big issue is the safety and not having pedestrian safety in there that I think is adequate. I'm also waiting on some public records requests, and those will help me very much make a decision, but I haven't received those yet, so I'm just waiting for the, I'm still within my 10 days. I have concerns that we're working off of a feasibility study that is 12 years old. So I have concerns about the population growth, traffic, all of that stuff that was not considered in that original feasibility study. But also that one of the recommendations in there was that if we cannot complete the recommendations that they gave us on 21st, so we should leave that crossing out altogether. And I think that we need to look at that for the safety reasons. And I believe that I just want to do the process right. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do a quiet zone. I'm saying we should do the process correctly, because for many years we did not do things correctly. It ended up costing us a lot more money in the end. So until I can get those questions answered, and I feel like we're getting honest solutions and we're putting together a really good plan, I'm not comfortable moving forward until I'm sure that we're taking all the safety precautions, we're meeting the recommendations of the feasibility study from, I think it was 2015, and that the process is correct. And right now, I don't think we're there.
All right, any additional? If not, we'll move to an electronic vote, or is it voice vote? Voice vote.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make clear what I think is the motion and what that means. And so the code section that Councilor Tillmont has moved under does permit an agenda to be amended after the start of the meeting, and he did state a good faith reason. But a final action cannot be taken on an agenda item that's added on that meeting. And I think that's what was acknowledged. And so the vote today would not be able to go to a final action if the agenda is amended. At this meeting, it won't.
Correct. Councilor Tillmont has requested that we place the train quiet zone approval for the bid on the next appropriate meeting that we can either schedule for a city council meeting or the next regularly scheduled one, correct?
Correct.
All right, and we had a second, I believe?
I have a question for legal. Is it if this is placed on the agenda, which I assume it will it be a public hearing, or?
No, there's no requirement for a public hearing. This is actually to accept the contract, the bid for the contract.
It'd be the final,
Okay, so then-
vote, correct? No public comment, final bid approval. And just to clarify that even if we move forward with this, a future leadership could undo it, right? Just to clarify, the quiet zone itself.
That's a hard question to answer. I mean, I suppose it's feasible that a future council could request that the quiet zones not be enforced. If that's the question, Mr. Mayor, there are probably other things. I can't think of all of them, but
Yeah.
But generally, there would be a possibility, correct?
Doesn't mean it would be a thing, but it's a possibility. All right, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Tillmont?
Yes.
Counselor Stodic?
Yes.
Counselor Register?
No.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Allgood?
Yes.
Counselor Dittenber?
Yes.
All right, that motion passes, and we will set a future date.
Mr. Mayor, since it's now an action item, I'd like to make a comment based on that action item.
Councilor Tillmont, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I find it disrespectful and unprofessional, to both the contractor and city staff for the city to continue to drag out the approval or denial of a good faith bid for completion of the railroad intersection improvements and implementation of the quiet zone agreement with Union Pacific Railroad. This has been an approved project for over a decade. Staff has spent countless hours and worked diligently to ensure the best use of taxpayer money and to increase the safety that these improvements will provide. I am new to council, but over the years I have been attending council meetings. The standard has always been to move forward with things that were approved and budgeted for by former councils. This standard was reinforced on February 10th, 2026, when in an email to the mayor, both Councilmember Stodic and Councilmember Dittenber asked to have the city's downtown mural project put on hold for further discussion. The mayor's response was, quote, "The mural project was previously budgeted for and the budget was approved by council." So as background, at the July 2023 budget workshops, the budget for the intersection improvements was lowered to $400,000. This allowed the city to move some of the previous approved monies to other projects, such as lighting for the quad fields, BMX track improvements, and even a donation to CNR. That budget was approved by council on August 15th, 2023 in a 5-0 vote. Councilor Doty was not at that meeting. The designs were finalized and an RFP was then issued with the accepted bid for completion of approximately $238,000. Based on the standards set by the mural project scenario I mentioned previously, the fact that some of this project has already been constructed and paid for, I'm saddened that it has taken so long to be considered. So pursuant to Idaho Code 74-204-4C, since this is not an emergency, therefore no final decision can be made at this time. I make a motion to continue this and have an action item for final discussion of the approval or denial of the construction bid for the railroad intersection improvements and the implementation of the quiet zone agreement with Union Pacific Railroad be placed on the agenda at the town hall meeting on March 25th. Or if the town hall is not held or a quorum is not met, the city council meeting on April 6th. The contractor, city staff, and the people of Caldwell deserve the respect to have this voted on no matter what the outcome of the vote by this representative body may be. Thank you.
Mr. Mills, do you have a moment? Just to correct the record, this project was previously approved and budgeted. The money was then spent, correct, by a prior city council and staff?
What money was spent? I'm sorry.
The $4 million, right, on things like the rodeo booths and others.
That's not a question for me.
Correction. Finance, we'll get to you in just a second, sorry. Hold on, stand by.
So when this project was originally budgeted in 2023, it was for $4 million. In 2024, it was budgeted for $400,000. In 2025, it was budgeted for $400,000. And in fiscal year 2026, it was also budgeted for $400,000. The only funds that have been spent of the $400,000 is $60,000 to the railroad for their review of our plan. And I don't think the full $60,000 has been spent.
Yeah, they've charged us $42,000 of that so far.
And that's the current expenditures, correct, versus the past?
That, most of those expenditures occurred in last fiscal year.
Yes, but in prior years, the prior money was reappropriated.
Reallocated,
Yes.
yes, to multiple things such as the pool, CNR, some lighting, and other one-time projects.
Thank you. Mr. Mills, do you remember my predecessor had asked you, I believe you stated this recently in email, to restart the project, right?
To restart the project?
Yes.
When I came on in February of '24, it was already in the '24 budget approved to move forward with a quiet zone. So that was one of the tasks I was given to move forward with, yes.
Yes, at the time, right, you'd asked to move forward on that from the mayor, but it wasn't in progress at the time, other than the budgeting.
It wasn't what?
Sorry, the budgeting was approved, but you had restarted the task, just to clarify for the record.
I guess I don't understand. I mean, when things are approved in the budget, like a project or whatever, then they're there to move forward.
Yes.
So I started as a work task at that point.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
All right, moving on. We already voted, correct? We don't need to
No, Mr. Mayor, I believe that this was a different motion to continue to a date certain by Councilor Chelmott, but I'll let him clarify if that's the motion. I don't want to mischaracterize.
No, originally
Just
my
restate your
motion
motion.
was to add the action item to the agenda, or change it to an action item, which we now have.
Now we're going to move to an action item.
And now
for the
I'm
next
moving
meeting.
it to add it to a specific calendar.
All right, a motion. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
All right, motion is second. We going to do electronic or roll call again?
Roll call.
All right,
Counselor
roll call,
Tomah?
please.
Yes.
Counselor Dittenberg?
Yes.
Counselor Stodic?
Yes.
Counselor Register?
No.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Allgood?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes. And we'll notice on the future agenda when that does come forth, either on the 25th or in the April meeting. All right, hold on, let me get my bearing here. Now moving on to, let's see here, stand by. All right, next on the agenda is new business. And first, the council will discuss the consent calendar, item 10 that was removed. That item is approving a resolution awarding the 2026 chip seal aggregate contract for the council member who asked for this item to be removed Do you have any questions or things to discuss on this issue? Councilor Stoddard, you had asked for it to be removed.
You're talking about item 10, right?
Yes, item 10.
Yeah, I think all questions were answered both by the HOA gentleman and by Mr. Mills as far as the chip seal, so no further action from me then, thank you.
Hey, Councilor Tillman.
Therefore, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution awarding the 2026 chip seal aggregate contract.
All right, a motion and a second.
Second.
Second, all right, motion is second for awarding the contract under item number 10. Please vote electronically.
You voted no?
No, it's supposed to be yes. Fat fingers, sorry.
I was going to say, you could have said something before we voted. All right, the motion passes. With that, the next item.
Mr. Mayor, do we want to make it for the record to indicate what Councilor
Oh,
Stoddick's
sorry,
vote
for the
was
record,
on
Councilor
that?
Stoddard, can you please?
I voted yes.
Yes, in favor, so is unanimous for that.
Thumb voted
Item
no.
number 10. All right, the next item in new business is discussing the appointment of Director of Economic Development. Daniel Torres is the nominee for the council to consider, and would you like to come forward and introduce yourself before the council so they can consider your appointment?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I didn't prepare anything. You just want me to talk a little bit about myself, or?
Please do, just introduce yourself.
Hey, I am grateful to have interviewed with the city of Caldwell. A little background with myself. I am coming from Utah, but rest assured, we lived in Utah, or in Idaho for 20 years. My wife has deep roots. Her family grew up in Caldwell. Her grandfather owned a music store on Indian Creek. Left in the 1980s to move to East Idaho. I personally have served in municipal government, city of Rexburg for about 12 years. I moved to the city of Meridian for 2 years, served as their economic development administrator. Moved down to Utah, where I serve as the economic development manager for 6 incorporated cities and towns, as well as unincorporated Salt Lake County. And that is a mouthful. I'm excited to move back to Idaho. We have a little growing family, 2 daughters, a son, and a little girl on the way. I'm excited to be here in Caldwell, excited to see the growth that's happening in the last 2 years since I've been gone. Had the opportunity to work with both Ophelia and your former economic development director, Stephen. Have always kind of envied Caldwell for the things that are happening here. Hearing just a little bit of what's happening here in the city council meeting. Growth is both exciting and challenging. I'm a big believer that local governments have a lot of say in the direction that the community grows and develops. Economic development is key to that, ensuring that our tax base is shored up and that we're able to keep those things that make our community is important. And I'm excited to work with your staff and with your mayor and with you yourselves, council, as we go forward. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, any questions from council? Councilor Stoddard?
Sorry.
Councilor Allgood?
Not really a question. I just had the pleasure of being on the interview panel when we conducted interviews, and you did a wonderful job. I think you came to a heck of a meeting to start off your career here. It's been a good one. But it was a pleasure to talk to you. I'm very excited to have you join our city. And something else you said, this is totally offhand, but the Olympics are coming back to Salt Lake.
They are.
That's pretty exciting. We got to figure out a way to capitalize on that up here a little bit.
There might not be any snow there, so they might come up here.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I would entertain a motion to confirm Daniel Torres as the Caldwell City Economic Development Director.
So moved.
All right, a motion and a second. All right, would you please vote electronically?
I'm trying.
All right, that is unanimous. Thank you for that. And now, here comes the fun part. We're going to go and swear Daniel in.
It's, do you know what it was? It was Music Care. It was David Seavey is his name. No. He's 90 years old and still doing it.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Daniel Torres,
I, Daniel Torres,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and the state of Idaho,
of the United States and the state of Idaho,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the city of Caldwell,
of the city of Caldwell,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform the duties of Economic Development Director
faithfully perform the duties of Economic Development Director
of the city of Caldwell,
of the city of Caldwell,
Canyon County,
Canyon County,
state of Idaho,
state of Idaho,
during my continuance therein.
during my continuance therein.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Get this signed and then we'll get you a copy. So thank you again. Yeah.
And thank you, council.
All right, well, that was definitely an exciting time this evening, besides the rest of the excitement. The next agenda item is going to be new business, is an action item to consider Bill 11, Ordinance 3745, and congratulations again, Daniel, by the way. Authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $5.3 million in principal amount of the general bond obligations, Series 2026. Are there any questions from the council about this ordinance?
Hi, council, mayor. I have John McDevitt with our bond counsel who'd be happy to answer any questions or explain kind of the process that it goes through. So he's online, he's not in person, so I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you, Ryan. I'll just briefly go over that ordinance, and then if there are questions, please let me know. It's authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds by the city up to $5.3 million to fund certain fire station improvements, and authorize the notice of sale, the city to enter into or accept bond purchase proposals, and levy taxes to pay debt service on the bonds.
All right, any additional?
Nothing further unless there are questions or comments.
Councilor Denver.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I guess I don't necessarily have a question. I think my question was answered in your brief missive. This is for the fire bond, correct? And so if it is for the fire bond, can we change the wording this to consider Bill 11 Ordinance 3745 authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $5.3 million principal amount in general obligation bonds for the fire department for clarity? Or is that a motion?
That's if you're making a motion.
Okay, I'll move that then.
All right, a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
All right, a motion and a second has been moved to approve Bill 11, Ordinance 375, and the issuance sale of general bond for the fire bond. And then council can now cast their vote. All right, that is unanimous. The next item on the agenda is resolution accepting a contract for installing sorry, was that not pulled for the retaining wall? Yeah, so that's going to be pulled. I apologize for that. Stand corrected. It'll be on a future agenda item.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
do you
Councilor
know
Allgood.
why that was pulled?
Clerk, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, Counselor Allgood, Mr. Mayor, Diana Sinner requested that it get pulled. She said their legal staff was still working on the details and they weren't quite ready to present to us yet.
Okay.
It's basically to make sure they not only had a presentation, but an actual action item that legal had vetted and cleared for the agenda. Otherwise, it just would have been a presentation, basically, not an action item.
Yeah, and we're kind of under a timeline, and so I was hoping to get this completed. We would like the money spent this year, urban renewal money spent this year, and so anyway, that was my concern, is the timeline we're under.
Just to clarify for URA, which Councilor Allgood's also an urban renewal commissioner, fiscal year, correct? Or
Correct.
calendar year, fiscal year? All right, we'll make sure we get that hopefully soon.
Mr. Mayor, just to make clear for Counselor Allgood, that the legal was from the county legal, it wasn't city legal request. I just wanted to make that clear.
Any additional on that? All right, the next item on the agenda is an action item to consider bill number 13, ordinance number 3747 pertaining to parking regulations with a request to move for passage by title only, approve.
Mr. Mayor, we have the action item regarding the sale for the fire station that we need to, that were placed from the county. It's on your agenda.
All right, sorry, we had a. All right, consider the purchase sale agreement of fire, so action item number 3 for new business would be consider the purchase sale agreement for Fire Station 4. Haley.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I wanted to bring this PSA to you not as a consent item, just so that I could provide a quick update of the fire station projects, as well as bringing the actual action item, the consent item, forward. So the item on the agenda before you is for Fire Station 4 to purchase the property, as we have discussed in the past. The developer and I have come to an agreed upon price, which is it's about $375,000 for an acre and a half for Fire Station 4 to be able to begin construction end of summer, beginning of fall timeframe. And then I had a quick update on Fire Station 1 as well, Fire Station 4. So we have completed the survey and the geotech, so we can keep design moving forward. So we are on track for Fire Station 4. For Fire Station 1, our demo permit is under review right now, and we are getting ready to submit for the building permit, and so we are on track for Fire Station 1 as well. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Councilor Allgood.
Just one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
The price of that property didn't come in as expected?
Yes, it did. So the developer has agreed that we will be purchasing the usable acreage, not the entire lot, which would be the usable acreage plus the right-of-way. So it came in right at what we expected it would be.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? All right, do we have a motion for item number 3?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
All right, a motion for the approval
I'll second.
and a second. It's for the purchase sale agreement for Fire Station 4. With that, please vote electronically. All right, that is unanimous. Good to hear, Fire Chief, who's standing in the back for those that aren't here tonight. All right, let me just make sure. All right, the next is another item on the agenda is an action item to consider bill number 13, ordinance number 3747 pertaining to parking regulations with request to move for its passage by title only and approval for summary publication. Are there any questions from council about the ordinance? All right, go ahead, sorry.
It's okay. Robin Collins, Community Development Director. Mayor and council, just wanted to explain what we're doing with this ordinance, since it all looks like it's brand new, but it's actually not. What we are doing in this ordinance is, if you recall in the ordinance, it used to tell you like what streets the 3 and 4 hour parking were on. As we look through the city at maybe more areas where we need that 3 and 4 hour parking, we decided to remove them out of the ordinance and put them in a resolution. So it's much easier to come before council without having to revise the entire ordinance. So we've removed all of that out of the ordinance, put it in a resolution, and we have added in the resolution some additional 3 and 4 hour parking for consideration based on requests from downtown business owners. The 3 and 4 hour parking is actually working. We've had good feedback that people are starting to use the parking lots. However, they're overflowing also onto Blaine and some of those side streets that are south of Blaine in front of those businesses. So we're coming before council tonight to request that we go ahead and extend that 3 and 4 hour parking along Blaine and those side streets to Cleveland where the businesses are located. And we are repealing and replacing the entire ordinance because the codifiers still hasn't published the ones from last year. So we thought this might just be easier on them.
Thank you for that. Questions from council? Just to clarify too, a couple businesses did reach out and asked because there was a change where people that were parking downtown were now parking in front of additional businesses along the Blaine and other corridors. So after taking a look, we decided to bring this forth. With that, do I have a motion from council? All right, this is for bill number 13, ordinance 347, pertaining to parking regulations. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All right, please electronically cast your votes. All right, it is unanimous. Thank you for that. All right, let me go to the next agenda item. It's going to be another action item, considering a resolution authorizing the designation of time-limited parking and other restricted parking zones within the downtown zoning districts. There was 2 action items. Do you need clarification, or you? All right, affirming compliance with Chapter 9, Article 7 of the Caldwell City Code pertaining to parking regulations and providing for an effective date. Any questions from council or motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Allgood.
I move we approve the resolution authorizing the designation of time-limited parking and other restricted parking zones within the downtown zoning districts, affirming compliance with Chapter 9, Article 7 of Caldwell City Code pertaining to parking regulations, and providing for an effective date.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Any discussion on that? All right, if not, please vote electronically. All right, that is unanimous. Thank you for that vote. The next agenda item is an action item to consider an ordinance annexing Shadow Glen subdivision, Phase 6 in the Caldwell Municipal Irrigation District. Does council have any questions? Councilor Denver.
Mr. Mayor, seeing that there's no question, I make a motion and sponsor bill number 14, ordinance 3748, annexing Shadow Glen subdivision, phase number 6 into the Caldwell Municipal Irrigation District.
All right, thank you for that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Please vote electronically. And that's for item number 6. All right, that unanimously passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the finance report.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Tillmont.
I make a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $4,588,568.83, represented by checks number 191856 through 192094, and electronic payments and payroll for the amount of $861,997.78, represented by checks numbers 40729 through 40744, and direct deposits to be accepted, payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
All right, that's a motion to approve the finance report. Is there a second? Motion and a second for approval of the finance reports. All right, please electronically cast your votes. All right, and that motion does pass. Thank you, Councilor Tillmont. The next item on the agenda is reports from the mayor and council. Councilor Allgood, we'll start with you tonight.
Nothing to report. I want to say publicly that I completely concur with
Thank you for that, Counselor Allgood. Counselor Dittenberg.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I also stand behind those that want to clean up the dialogue and the rhetoric that's happening towards those people that work so diligently to serve our community. The other thing I wanted to say is I've had the opportunity over the last couple weeks, actually last few days, to attend a couple economic summits, the one in Nampa and the one that's happening in Boise, and the outlook for our community hangs in the balance of what this city council does. We were told in almost both situations that we understand that there's going to be a correction in the housing market, but I want to urge my esteemed colleagues to be very, very careful about upsetting this balance and doing anything that takes prime out of the pump that makes this great city.
Thank you, Counselor Dittenberg, for your comments, and Counselor Tillman.
Just wanted to reiterate that I do appreciate being on council. I do appreciate the fact that we can all disagree and still work together. That's something that has not been around for a while on this council. I've seen it all too often being in the crowd. I do also agree with Councilor Allgood that the online rhetoric is getting a little out of bounds, especially for some of our boards. We're elected officials. We put ourselves in the public sphere. Our commissions, our committees don't. I do personally think that they deserve a little bit more respect since they do volunteer. So that is my personal position. But other than that, I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Tillman. Counselor Stoddard has nothing, and Counselor Register.
I want to comment on what Mr. Harmon said as well. I also agree that social media has become a big bullying place, and I was very much affected by that during the election. There was a couple of people who were just tenacious, coming to my house, taking pictures, making accusations that were completely false. So I get it, and I also think that comments need to be more appropriate everywhere, and that the city has a duty to monitor those comments on their page a little bit better and faster so that those are handled quickly. I will address the council privately with my own concerns since this has come up. I think we're constantly talking about decorum, and I feel like earlier tonight, we had a lot of people who volunteer for the city who were pretty argumentative, and then lots of whispering and high fives and stuff like that, and I feel like this meeting is not the place for that. But I do agree with the overall sentiment of being more mindful about what's being said.
Thank you, Councilor Register, for that. I will agree. So I have also been subject to threats of violence and other things, including, my face was put on a milk carton, sent out to a whole bunch of citizens saying I was going missing. To this day, I still have not had any police, prosecutors, or judges verify that that is not an active threat. So with that, I do agree. We will not tolerate those comments. Okay, those will be taken down. Now, if you see things, please refer those to the city right away, and we'll do everything we can to get them down as soon as we can. Keep in mind, we have to make sure that we coordinate with legal and other entities as far as legalities of removing comments, but we will not tolerate any comments like that. We will be releasing a statement here in the future, working with the city attorney and the PIO to get that out later this week in reference to our online. We have posted some stuff recently about our rules that I believe council and I had recently talked about in a meeting, so we'll put out a statement for that. Other than that, just an update. As far as Roger Brooks, I'm just waiting on the chamber to get back. We had a contract with the Chamber of Commerce, and then they had a contract with him, a subcontract, so once they're able to verify that that has been completed with the amount of money we paid, then I will reach out to council and see if we want to have a special date for that. Do we want to just put it in with a normal meeting as a workshop, or how we want to do that? So I will reach out. I just need to make sure I hear back from the chamber as far as the completion of their contract we paid out to them. Follow up, once again, there's a workshop on March 25th at 5:30. We'll notify if we're going to add your motion, Councilor Tillmont, and council for that actual acceptance or denial of the bid, the final bid. And just so the public's aware, that is not open to public comment at the time for that bid. It's the final approval. We did have the comment periods. Mayor's Youth Advisory Council Gala we just had. Thank you for those that attended. It was wonderful. Councilor Dittenberg, Councilor Register. I was surprised on how well Councilor Allgood too was there. And by the way, all council is invited. Next year we'll try and get those invites out much earlier. But our community outreach specialist, Gino, apparently is a closet auctioneer. If you attended, you would know what I'm talking about. So he did a wonderful job. We raised a lot of money for Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, and that is pretty much their big shebang on how they do that. And we appreciate everyone that attended. Other than that, I don't have anything additional at this time. And like I said, we'll have a statement at a later date. And thank you for those that came here and participated tonight in your public comments. And we are also excited for Fire Station 4 to start moving ahead. And also Fire Station 1 should have a groundbreaking here pretty soon. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that correct, Chief? When is the date on that? The demolition, sorry, demolition, not groundbreaking. April 22nd, for those, if you want to put that on your calendar, would like to attend. All right, with that, the last item of business is, go ahead, sorry, Councilor Williams.
Thank you.
Yes.
Didn't know if I got council comments tonight.
I apologize, I forgot to jump from Councilor Register to you. I apologize for that.
Accepted.
You'll
No
go first next time.
No. But I'll just join the council in their condemnation of the rhetoric that needs to tone down across the board. But I just have one thing to say tonight. I'd like Chief Daniels to come forward, if you would, please, just because he hasn't. And it's necessary to embarrass him a little bit. He doesn't mind. But I think it's worth us giving out a shout out to our fire department for an epic assault on a very challenging fire just a couple of days ago that was an apartment building. And within 20 minutes, they knocked down that fire. And we couldn't be prouder of our fire department. Well, we could be, but that will come tomorrow because every day it gets better. And we're more proud of you every day, Chief. And thank you, and please pass on to all of our firefighters. Every one of our trucks was involved in that. I think I read we needed assistance from other communities to handle other calls in our community because we were knocking down that fire. But I say it again, that assault was epic. And congratulations to you and to all of your team for just what you do. And it's appreciated.
Wow. Mayor and Councilor Williams, thank you so much, first of all, for calling me up here. You know, I love this stuff. Our fire department, yes, they've actually been fighting a lot of fire. And over the past several weeks, they've had multiple 2-alarm fires in city limits, which have required the assistance of mid-star fire districts as well as Nampa Fire to come in and cover calls behind those calls that we weren't able to answer in city limits. And so, again, we're really relying on our neighbors. Our fear is that help may run out or they may have their own emergencies to handle. This morning, we had 2 structure fires off the bat. One in the south portion of the city, another one simultaneous near the Walmart in downtown Caldwell. That full alarm assignment to the second structure fire was handled solely by Nampa Fire units. And then around noon today, we had an additional 2-alarm fire started from a flying ember, which caught onto some arborvitae trees, which were Roman candles, basically. Luckily, the home wasn't damaged, but that also consumed several resources. And during that incident, we had an additional 3 incidents that had to be answered by our neighbors. On the last fire, we had Wilder, Deer Flat, and Marsing respond in. So we're really casting a big net to get these resources in here. And our team is a bunch of rock stars. The men and women of Caldwell Fire are some of the most highly trained, highly dedicated, passionate individuals I've ever worked with in my 26 years in the fire service. And it is a testament that they do more with less. And they are the guardians of the city of Caldwell, and I cannot be more proud to be their fire chief. So thank you.
Also with that, Chief, I want to say if council hasn't had the opportunity, I got to do a tour with the chief around all the fire stations. We did a walkthrough and also out into the rural district. So if you haven't done that, I would highly recommend it. It's really nice to see not only the totality of it, and when they bring things before us, you understand what that means, but to also just see the scale and the scope of what they're having to fend with across the city when it comes to fires and such. And also in coordination with that is our police department, right? A lot of times they'll assist on scenes, traffic control, and a variety of other things. So we really love our fire department, our police department, and what they're doing across the city to save lives and protect lives and structures. So thank you for the awesome job you guys are doing.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the recognition.
And just to clarify, Councilor Williams, I'll let you go again first next time. I'll let you go first. All right, if nothing further, last item of business is an executive session, and tonight's executive session will be pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206, paragraphs A, to consider hiring public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, and C, to acquire an interest in real property not owned by the public agency, and F, to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206, subsections A, subsection C, subsection D, and subsection F.
All right, motion and second? Second. All right, we have motion and second. Please vote electronically. Can we just do a... Sorry, we'll redistribute those. Got ahead of the game here. Councilor President, register. All right, council, please place your vote electronically. All right, with that, the motion passes. We are now in executive session. Thank you all for coming tonight.